What's up, guys? So I'm going to talk about the hit rates of your creatives, and this is actually one of the most important things because this is actually what people struggle with the most. Whenever I speak to someone, it's always, okay, how do I make more amounts of ads work from the ones I test? Because all the pieces of advice that you hear on YouTube are test more, rip more, whatever, right? Rip more ads from cow data, test more ads overall, just increase your volume. And whereas that's a pretty good piece of advice in itself because you learn more, because you actually kind of like figure out more on yourself, the problem is, right, this is a huge issue. A lot of people, most people watching this video, in fact, will be at a stage where you don't know your hit rates because they are too low. So it doesn't matter if you test 10 ads, 20, or 100, none of them are going to work because your hit rates, let's say, are lower than 1%. By the way, hit rate is just the amount of ads that, or let's say percentage of ads that works based off of, the ads that you've tested overall in percent. And so let's say they're below 1%, then obviously you can test 20, 30, 50, or 100. None of them are going to work, okay? That's what you have to keep in mind. And so the problem is a lot of people are in this stage, and especially whenever with like Meta rolls out these new algorithms like the Andromeda algorithm or update, right? And you kind of struggle with your hit rates anyways, then this video is for you because then you need to get your skill up first, know your hit rate. As long as you don't have that equation of like, I do X, I get Y, let's do as much X as possible. As long as you don't have that X yet, right, you need to figure it out. And this is what this video is going to be about, okay? First thing, variable isolation, right? So this is something which is super important to keep in mind because whenever you don't isolate your variables, whenever you don't know what this is, you're basically just going to throw something at a wall and keep making the same mistakes again. Essentially what this is every ad consists of a bunch of different variables. You can think of a checklist, right? Visual hook, text hook, audio hook, pacing, length of the ad, font on the text and the text, right? Primary text, description, headline, call to action, everything. You can think of everything, a call to action, like every single thing that you can break down in your ad is a variable. Now, when you test stuff, your losing ad consists of a overwhelming amount of losing variables compared to winning variables. The cool thing is also this overwhelming amount of losing variables is every single thing like here is something that you can document. So let's say you use a specific text hook combined with a visual hook and the hook rate is low, below 20%, right? Okay, well, this is a losing variable. I'm going to write these two things down in a losing variable spreadsheet. And then whenever you in the future, obviously after increasing your volume and doing like 100 ads a week, at some point in the future, we're not stopping the run of brand. Let's say you just look back into the spreadsheet, or even better, give the spreadsheet to ChatGPT, give the new ads you want to launch to ChatGPT and ask it, have I ever made this mistake before? It's just going to tell you point blank. And the reality is you're not going to remember. If you test a lot of ads, let's say like a lot of volume, something I consider like 100 ads a week. Let's say you do this for 5 months, okay? Same brand, same store. Are you going to really remember in 5 months from now after 30 seconds of concept one brief to what the what the customer knowledge was in terms of solution awareness? No, you're not going to. Okay, so you're not going to remember for specifically what kind of other solutions you compared your stuff to, and you're also not going to know every single one of these specific editing variables, the production, nothing. Okay, so you just put them either in a losing variable spreadsheet or a winning variable spreadsheet every single time. This goes beyond your creative tracker, and the more consistently you work on this, the more you will learn out of your own creatives, because it doesn't make sense to spend money on ads and not learn from them. That's like the worst thing you can do, because then you're just literally actually burning money. Now, if you're learning from them, if you're building a spreadsheet out of each and every ad that you run, then you are learning from them, and then you are actually really not just throwing money on the wall, seeing what sticks, and just burning money, but actually, and this is the cool part, actually investing it, because it's going to get a good return at some point when you figure it out, when you fix all these small checkpoint things. So this is the variable isolation. Very important. Start doing it immediately. Set up some type of basic spreadsheet, every metric you can think of, every variable you can think of, and start using it. Second thing is creative like iterations versus new concepts. So this is something which a lot of people don't understand, because everything that they launch is essentially a new concept, right? There's a bunch of different subcategories when it comes to ads. There's iterations, there's new concepts, and there's competitor-based ads, and then there's competitor-based iterations. So there's a bunch of different things that you can run. Now, essentially, the reason why you need to understand what an iteration is because if you don't use them, you're never going to be profitable. Even if you end up scaling an ad, let's say you only test new concepts and then 100 a week of those, obviously what's going to happen is your hit rates are going to be so low anyways because of the new concepts. So even if you're a good creative strategist, even if you have the variable isolation in place, that you're not going to still, again, your creative tests are going to eat away and eat up all your profits. This is a very bad reality for a lot of people. A lot of people actually, are pretty good marketers, but they at some point just basically don't test so much volume in terms of new concepts that they can't be physically profitable, because every tested ad is so much money. Okay, now you need to keep in mind one thing, right? So iterations is something based off of like an ad that comes into the ad account based off of stuff that's already been in your ad account once before. So it can be, let's say you make a hook iteration, let's say you make a call to action iteration, let's say you make a conversion rate iteration based off more disqualifiers. So the idea is you take a look at all the ads that are already in the ad account and just make them better. Right now, this is a thing which works because it's already something which has been proven in some type of way. So this kind of combines the variable isolation to then working with ads that have already been in the ad account, and the hit rates here will be significantly higher than here because you only iterate on the best stuff anyways. And so if you launch 10 ads that were all based off of the winning ad, well, guess what? Yes, hit rates are going to be higher than testing 10 new concepts. And so what the goal is to actually incorporate a so-called 80-20 rule. So 80% of the stuff that goes into the ad account should be an iteration, and only 20% new concepts. Definitely keep that in mind. Super important. And then we have back-end testing. So beyond these things that you can control, there's always going to be things that you cannot control. Okay. Now, the things like, for example, your page score, right? There's things like your ad account issues, your pixel issues that you can have. Let's say it's something in your store which is like kind of gets triggered because of a certain keyword, you got high CPMs, anything like that. All these things you can fix by just testing them. So the easiest example for this is just page testing. Unfortunately, and it shouldn't be working like that, if you test 10 different pages on the same ad, you will get 10 completely different metrics, unfortunately, right? And this is the little luck factor that Facebook has involved. But if you think about it, it's not really luck because you can control it, because you can test a bunch of pages, you can test multiple ad accounts. Like, you have that thing in your control, so actually do it. And if you do these 3 things, I guarantee your hit rates will be going up, and you will know them, and then you will figure out that equation of, okay, if I do X, I get Y, right? And then we can actually just apply that. So thank you so much for giving me your most important asset, which is your attention. Thanks for watching. I wish you a beautiful day.